For any global leader, one of the most critical capabilities is decision making. But how you make a decision, well, that's not universal. In this explainer, we're going to dissect the cultural blueprints that shape this process all around the world. The goal is to give you a clear framework for leading your international teams more effectively. So, why is it that in some countries, employees expect clear, top down direction, while in others, they absolutely expect to be part of a collaborative decision? This is a huge challenge for any global executive, because what's seen as efficient in one culture can feel exclusive or just plain slow in another. We need to get to the bottom of what's really driving this difference. And the answer really comes down to culture. This isn't about individual personalities being difficult or different. No, these are predictable patterns that are deeply embedded in national cultures. And if you want to be an effective cross-cultural leader, recognizing these patterns is the absolute first step. Okay, so let's look at a cultural blueprint. We'll use two spectrums to understand decision making. So here's the framework. It's built on two key spectrums. First, think about leadership style. Is it hierarchical, where power is concentrated at the top, or is it more egalitarian, where power is distributed? Then look at the decision process itself. Is it directive, one person makes the call, or is it consensual, where the group decides together? Where a culture falls on these two spectrums really defines its go-to approach for making decisions. All right, let's put this blueprint into practice. We're going to take a quick global tour to see how this plays out in the real world. First stop, the United States. Now, on the surface, the US model often feels very egalitarian during discussions, but what's interesting is how directive it becomes when it's time to make the final call. This quote really gets to the heart of it. An open-door policy in the US doesn't usually mean the leader is looking for a consensus. It's more of an invitation that says, give me your input, tell me what you think, and then I will decide. Input is genuinely valued, but the expectation is that the leader synthesizes it all and makes that final decisive call on their own. Okay, now let's contrast that with Germany. It's a very different model. In Germany, you'll see a blend of respect for hierarchy and a deep need for consensus, all with a major emphasis on expertise. So in Germany, a leader's authority is clear, but it's often exercised by building consensus. Expertise is solicited from everyone on the team, regardless of their level. Now, this process of getting everyone aligned might look slow from the outside, but here's the critical part. Once that decision is finally made, the commitment is total, and that leads to incredibly fast and unified execution. Now, for a completely different approach, let's look at Japan. The process here is truly distinct. It's built around a practice of creating alignment long before any formal decision is ever announced. This concept is called nemawashi. The literal translation is something like tilling the soil around the roots, and that's a perfect metaphor. It's all about the informal, behind-the-scenes work of talking to people, gathering support, and building buy-in. The whole point is to ensure that by the time a proposal is formally on the table, the support is already there and any major resistance has been worked out. So, as you can see, it starts with these informal chats up and down the organization to lay the groundwork. You're essentially fostering a collective understanding, and that means the final formal announcement isn't the beginning of a debate, it's actually the confirmation of a decision that has already been shaped by the group. Let's head back to Europe, because the French model provides a really strong contrast to what we just saw. Here, the priority is on clear, decisive, top-down authority. In France, strong leadership is decisiveness. The expectation is that the person in charge will analyze the situation, consider the facts, and then set a clear direction without a lot of debate. In fact, trying too hard to build a broad consensus can sometimes be seen as a sign of weakness. Clarity and speed are simply valued more than getting everyone to agree. And for our final stop, let's look at Sweden. It's a culture well known for its deep-seated egalitarian principles, and that is reflected very clearly in how decisions are made. The Swedish approach really changes the manager's role. You're not so much the decider as you are the facilitator. The core principle is simple. If a decision is going to affect you, you get a voice in making it. These flatter organizational structures really empower that idea, and leaders focus on guiding their teams to a consensus that creates a strong sense of both autonomy and shared ownership. So, what does this all mean for leading across cultures? It points to one thing: the absolute imperative to adapt. And this quote captures the core challenge perfectly. What feels like strong, decisive leadership in one culture might come across as arrogant or even weak in another. Think about it. Making a quick top-down call is seen as effective leadership in Paris.
But in Stockholm, that could be seen as deeply arrogant. On the flip side, spending a lot of time building consensus is seen as inclusive and smart in Germany, but might be interpreted as being indecisive in the US.
So, effective global leadership isn't about finding one style and sticking to it. It's about developing the ability to correctly read the cultural context you're in and then adapting your decision making style to match. That flexibility, that adaptability, that is the true hallmark of a culturally intelligent leader. So I'll leave you with a question to reflect on. If you've worked internationally, think about a time you noticed a really big gap between decision making styles. Where was it? And more importantly, how did you adapt? Thinking through your own experiences is one of the best ways to build your own capacity for adaptive leadership.